You're belly flopping backwards down the slip and slide of madness. Your uncontrollable bodily spasms fling you through the sprinkler of bewilderment and onto the imagination's slick grass on the lawn of possibilities. You reach down to pick yourself up, only to notice that your swim trunks of self-image have slipped off somewhere in the Twilight Zone. I mean, the crepuscular realm. Have you ever wondered to yourself, hey, me, do you ever think that life has no meaning? And after a brief period of self-reflection, you came to the horrifying realization that it might not? And then to cope, you quickly buried your head in a big bag of hot Cheetos? If you did, then you, 95% of all edgy teenagers, and the philosopher Albert Camus have something in common. However, the methods for dealing with this shocking revelation are very different. Albert Camus theorized in The Myth of Sisyphus in 1942 that reality is an inherent contradiction. People are excited about the prospect of a new day, and yet each new day brings them closer to death. Camus believed that the absurdities of human life were where the meaning of life could come from. The simple enjoyment of the pointless frivolities of being alive were the basis for his somewhat nihilism-inspired belief system. Although a prolific philosopher, he was hardly the first person to broach the topic of absurdity in this context. The first person we have on record as discussing the idea of the absurdity of human life is the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, I think, who wrote about it in his book Fear and Trembling. In this book, he attempted to understand the sort of anxiety that Abraham felt in the Bible when faced with God's orders to kill his beloved son Isaac to prove his loyalty. It was this sort of self-contradiction that gave way to the idea of absurdist philosophy. Why would an omnipotent being need to have someone's devotion proven to him? He explored the madness of being alive in this book and funneled that experience through a Christian lens. This theme of absurdity would be forgotten for a short time, as the shift of the existentialist philosophy turned away from the religious and more to the nihilistic, with the stylings of Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche was famous for his statement, "God is dead," in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a book known around the world for being unbelievably difficult to read and comprehend. Nietzsche addressed the idea of a world without God being pointless, and embraced the nihilism inherent within that. He then spent the rest of his life as a philosopher talking about how it is necessary to find meaning in the world without God. Enter Albert Camus. Following Nietzsche's idea of finding meaning in a godless world, he embraced the madness of a world without a deity, and found that the absurdity of being alive in such a pointless world is where the joy of life comes from. It's this fundamentally contrarian and unique concept which was the driving factor in the development of my game, the Crepuscular Realm. The idea of the board game is simply absurdity. One begins with a board. The board features any number of different squares of movement and illustrations and a few various cards. Each player of the game will get one single rule to follow. A rule such as draw a card once you land on this red space, though which kind of card will not be specified. The goal of the game will be to play until you have collected enough of the rules to have discovered the win state. The catch? There is no card that describes the win state. Much like Sisyphus rolling his boulder up the hill day in and day out, there is no end goal that can reasonably be reached. The fun of the game comes not from the pursuit of the meaning, but instead comes from just the absurdity of discovering more things to do. Your goal is to complete the game and win, but the random and contrarian rules will start to become an irritation. But if you just focus on playing and laughing about the stupidity of the game, you'll enjoy it a lot more. The same principle, as Albert Camus noted, can be applied to the absurdity of life. Why does anyone exist? The purposeless reproduction of our species? Then does our suffering mean nothing if we don't follow the biological imperative to procreate? The only thing that matters on us are genitals in the grand scheme of our race. If that's true, and God is dead, then why even be alive? Well, I've got the answer for you, and a quite Camusian answer at that. The answer is to have fun, enjoy life, enjoy the company of those around you, do the things that make you happy, and revel in the things that make you angry or sad. Listen to dumb music and vote for a dumb idiot. It doesn't matter, it's all absurd. Just so long as you enjoy the absurdities of the things that don't matter, your existence will be just about as fulfilling as something pointless can be. God, that's dark. I'm gonna need to sit down for a moment. This is kind of fucking with my head just a little bit. Oh my god. Ugh. This is gonna be fun to edit.